2063 will mark 100 years since the founding of the African Union and 50 years since the continent agreed on a shared vision for development, the Agenda 2063. Agenda 2063 is Africa's blueprint and master plan for transforming Africa into the global powerhouse of the future. Agenda 2063 is driven by the vision for the Africa we want, and at the center of it all is the youth. 70% of Africans are between the ages of 15 and 35, which means 70% of Africans are youth. Agenda 2063 aims to guide individual and collective action towards the African Union's vision of an integrated, prosperous and peaceful Africa. An Africa driven and managed by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. Agenda 2063 is anchored on 7 aspirations. The first aspiration is to build a continent where all citizens benefit from Africa's economic and social growth with a higher standard of living and better quality of life. The second aspiration is to promote the integration of Africans based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism. Aspiration 3 envisions an Africa of good governance, respect for human rights, justice and the rule of law. Aspiration 4 envisions a peaceful and secure Africa, with youth taking an active role in conflict prevention and resolution and promoting a culture of tolerance. Aspiration 5 envisions an Africa where our common history, cultural heritage and diversity is celebrated. Aspiration 6 envisions an Africa where the citizens are actively involved in decision-making and where no child, woman or man will be left behind or excluded on the basis of gender, political affiliation, religion, ethnic affiliation, locality, age or other factors. Aspiration 6 calls for full gender equality in all spheres of life as well as youth empowerment. Aspiration 7 envisions Africa taking an active role in world affairs as a strong, united and influential partner. Aspiration 7 is underpinned by the continent's goals to improve Africa's position in the global governance system and an Africa taking full responsibility for financing its own development. On top of these aspirations and goals are a number of flagship projects aligned to Agenda 2063 that will catalyze development and empower the youth in the continent. Projects such as the Integrated High-Speed Train Network, the African Passport, the Single African Air Transport Market, and the African Continental Free Trade Area will promote connectivity by road and air, easing movement of Africans across borders and promote economic growth through increased trade. The African Virtual and E-University, Outer Space Strategy, Pan-African E-Network and Cyber Security, all of which aim to use space science and ICT to promote social and economic development. The Grand Inga Dam, which will provide clean and affordable electricity across the continent. The African Commodity Strategy and African Economic Forum, which will see to it that Africa takes charge of managing its own natural resources to promote its development and transform the continent into an economic powerhouse. The African financial institutions, including the African Investment Bank and Pan-African Stock Exchange, the African Monetary Fund, and the African Central Bank that will promote economic integration and mobilize resources to ensure Africa finances its own development. The Great African Museum and the Encyclopedia Africana, which will promote Africa's history and cultural heritage and provide authentic facts about Africa's past and present. The Silencing the Guns Initiative, which aims for an end to all wars, civil conflicts, gender-based violence, violent conflicts and preventing genocide in Africa. These signature projects will enhance Africa's cultural footprint and extend our reach towards the globe and beyond. With all that the Agenda 2063 has envisioned, it is now our duty to take Africa further and closer to the dream. It's now your turn to build the Africa we want and be the future today.